Coming up on 5 Minute News. Migrant children held in mass shelters with little oversight. Judge dismisses NRA bankruptcy case. And Biden administration approves first major US offshore wind farm. It's Wednesday, May 12. I'm Anthony Davis. The Biden administration is holding tens of thousands of asylum-seeking children in an opaque network of some 200 facilities that the Associated Press has learned spans 24 states and includes 5 shelters with more than 1,000 children packed inside. Confidential data obtained by the AP shows the number of migrant children in government custody more than doubled in the past 2 months, and this week the federal government was housing around 21,000 children from toddlers to teens. A facility at Fort Bliss, a U.S. Army post in El Paso, Texas, has more than 4,500 children as of Monday. Attorneys, advocates, and mental health experts say that while some shelters are safe and provide adequate care, others are endangering children's health and safety. A U.S. Department of Health and Human Services spokesman, Mark Webber, said the department staff and contractors are working hard to keep children in their custody safe and healthy. Part of the government's plan to manage thousands of children crossing the US-Mexico border involves about a dozen unlicensed emergency facilities inside military installations, stadiums, and convention centers that skirt state regulations and don't require traditional legal oversight. Inside the facilities, called emergency intake sites, children aren't guaranteed access to education, recreational opportunities, or legal counsel. A federal judge dismissed the National Rifle Association's bankruptcy case on Tuesday, leaving the powerful gun rights group to face a New York state lawsuit that accuses it of financial abuses and aims to put it out of business. The judge was tasked with deciding whether the NRA should be allowed to incorporate in Texas instead of New York, where the state is suing in an effort to disband the group. Though headquartered in Virginia, the NRA was chartered as a non-profit in New York in 1871 and is incorporated in the state. Judge Harlan Hale said in a written order that he was dismissing the case because he found the bankruptcy was not filed in good faith. The court believes the NRA's purpose in filing bankruptcy is less like a traditional bankruptcy case, in which a debtor is faced with financial difficulties or a judgment that it cannot satisfy, and more like cases in which courts have found bankruptcy was filed to gain an unfair advantage in litigation or to avoid a regulatory scheme, Hale wrote. His decision followed 11 days of testimony and arguments. Lawyers for New York and the NRA's former advertising agency grilled the group's embattled top executive, Wayne LaPierre, who acknowledged putting the NRA into Chapter 11 bankruptcy without the knowledge or assent of most of its board and other top officers. LaPierre testified that he kept the bankruptcy largely secret to prevent leaks from the group's 76-member board, which is divided in its support for him. Hale dismissed the NRA's case without prejudice, meaning the group can refile it. However, he warned that in doing so, the NRA's leaders would risk losing control. Joe Biden's administration has approved the construction of the US's first large-scale offshore wind farm, with 84 turbines to be erected off the coast of Massachusetts. The approval of the project, which will generate about 800 megawatts of energy, enough to power around 400,000 homes and businesses, is a boost to Biden's agenda of ramping up renewable energy production across the US in order to confront the climate crisis. The US has lagged behind other countries in offshore wind, despite its lengthy coastlines, but the Biden administration said the new Vineyard Wind project will be the first of many, as it aims to generate 30 gigawatts of energy from offshore wind by 2030. Two other offshore proposals located in New York are also now under review. A clean energy future is within our grasp in the United States, said Deb Haaland, Secretary of the Interior. The approval of this project is an important step toward advancing the administration's goals to create good-paying union jobs while combating climate change and powering our nation. The $2.8 billion development, a joint venture between energy firms, will be located about 12 nautical miles from the shoreline of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. The administration said the project will create 3,600 new jobs. The project surprised industry observers in 2018 by setting a record low price in a government auction to procure electricity. The joint venture expects to make a final investment decision on the project within months and will begin constructing the offshore wind farm later this year so it can start generating clean electricity by 2024. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news. Daily.